Besides the fact that these eyebrows is lit and on fleek. But that's not why I'm here. Do y'all ever get to the point where you feel like sometimes it's still hard for you to adjust when God gives you time to rest? Sometimes I'll find myself forcing my way out of a rest, kind of like unintentionally. Like I feel like I should be being productive, but God knows all and He sees all. So sometimes, even when you're trying to force it and you realize it's not producing any fruit, that's one way that the Lord checks me. That's one way that He shows me and is still teaching me when I go ahead of Him, especially, with all the different business endeavors that I'm doing, things that He's graced me to do, anointed me to do, giving me access to do. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So sometimes, maybe you're going through this, or maybe you have gone through it but didn't have the language for it, the words to articulate it. So I say, pay attention many times when you're trying to put forth the effort. I remember doing a message before called red light, green light. Is it a block from the enemy or a pause from the Holy Spirit? But many times, especially, it depends on what season you're in. So you have to know your season. And before you guys ask, only God can tell you what season you're in. When you spend time with Him, He will give you wisdom to let you know what that season is, what you just came out of, what you're currently in, maybe what you will be going into, what to expect. But sometimes that it's not even really opposition or pushback. It's just like the Lord is like, sit down somewhere, have a seat, have some me time, like enjoy yourself, like take a moment, take a breather, because you never know. The next day, you might be 10 toes deep, like, oh my gosh, I feel like a chicken with his head cut off. I'm all over the place. Like the Lord already knew that. So He was giving you time to gather yourself, gather your thoughts. One thing I was telling my team, like, I do content batching, especially since I build like all of my businesses on social media. So sometimes I'll have time to content batch, meaning I will batch like a month's worth of content, for all of my businesses, save it in my phone or schedule my posts. And then therefore, and I love how the Lord will give you strategies. He gives you instructions. He gives you His blueprint. And the part of my prayer, when He allowed me to cross over into my promised land, I am still very intentional about, Lord, help me to not mishandle this season. Help me to not mishandle my blessings. Teach me to remain humble. Teach me to stay at your feet. Give me the grace. Give me the strategies. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Give me your pace in this season. So God is so intentional. I was telling one of my clients this earlier this week, He will even teach you how much of yourself to pour into different assignments or different things that He has you doing in one particular season. This isn't for everybody, but for those of you that the Lord has allowed to cross over, or He's allowed you to start, diving into your kingdom assignments, marketplace ministry, business, entrepreneurship, like whatever that looks like for you, He will give you strategies to let you know how much to pour into this assignment, how much to pour into that assignment. Okay, pull back on this. You've put enough time in this. Do it over there. And I did a video some months ago about when it's kingdom, it doesn't make sense. You could literally put in, I'm just giving you guys an example. You could put in like an hour, 2 hours in a day and have the same type of results that someone that may have put in 8 to 10 hours for something in a day. When you do it God's way, it'll look like you spent less time on it, but you had more fruit. It'll look like, I don't believe in overnight success, but I truly believe in favor. I believe in the hand of God. I believe in not by might, but by His Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I truly believe that when it's favor, when it's time, when it's God's time, when it's Kairos, when the door has been opened, like when it's not God, you force it. But when it is God, like you can't stop it. It just flows. So for those of you that God may have been giving a bunch of stuff to do, some of the clients that I mentor, they'll feel like, well, how could He be calling me to do this? I'm already in this and I've already got this going on and I'm still trying to catch my breath. First off, He's going to give you more of Himself to do it, but He will also give you the strategies. He will give you His blueprint. Thank you, Holy Spirit. He will teach you balance. And sometimes He's challenging you to ask the right questions. Lord, help me to balance myself in this area. Because He does that to where God doesn't want us to get burnt out in our kingdom assignments or anything that we're doing. So if you do it his way, if you allow him to truly orchestrate your life, you allowed him to orchestrate it when you were in your wilderness season. So if you will allow him to orchestrate it when you're in the promised land also, Lord, teach me how to be a good steward in this. Give me balance in this. Give me strategies in this. Make me sensitive enough in the spirit that when I'm going ahead of you or I'm doing too much, I can feel your pullbacks. I gave one of my clients the analogy, like, look at it like when you're in the wilderness, you have a shorter leash on you. And I'm not saying we're dogs, but look at like when you're in the wilderness, you need a shorter leash on you. But when you cross over into your promised land, the Lord gives you like a longer leash because he's expecting you to already know right from wrong, to already know what to do and what not to do, how to keep coming back to him, how to include him, how to keep him in the center of everything. Because I said this before, we were never created, God never intended for man to be self-sufficient. And many times we feel like if it's productive, if it's fruitful, if my marriage is good, my business is good, my money's good, my family is good, like I don't need God in those areas. I only need him where I'm lacking and where I'm suffering. Lies. That's so far from the truth. We need God in every area of our lives. God did not create man to be self-sufficient. We were all created with a void that only he could fill. So again, if this is you, if you find yourself there, and when you kind of tussle even with resting, take the opportunity to rest. Take the time to rest because you never know that rest may be very necessary for what's up ahead.